Darren sat up, every muscle in his body screaming in protest. The thick, oppressive air pressed against his skin. Above him was no ordinary sky, just an endless dome of dark clouds, swirling with unnatural energy. Light seeped from a series of twisted obelisks that ringed the horizon, crackling with sickly green electricity. Beneath him, the ground was blackened and cracked, scorched by some unimaginable force. In the distance, towering mountains loomed, their peaks lost in the swirling fog. This wasn't just another place. Darren knew instinctively that he was no longer in his world. He had been pulled into something else, another dimension, a pocket of reality where the creature he had unleashed thrived, and it was waiting for him. The memory of the creature's eyes burned in his mind, those blazing ancient eyes, filled with a hunger that spanned eons. It was here, somewhere, lurking just beyond the horizon. He could feel its presence, a weight pressing on his soul, watching, waiting. Darren staggered to his feet, the landscape warping and twisting around him as if it were alive. He glanced down at himself, expecting to see his own body, but what he saw made his breath catch. His arms, his legs, they weren't his anymore. His skin had turned translucent, his veins dark and pulsing with a strange, glowing substance. His body was changing, being remade into something else, something the creature could use. "No," he muttered, stumbling backward, his mind racing with horror. This can't be happening. But it was. He had unleashed the entity, and now it was using him, shaping him into a vessel, a conduit for its power. Darren's breath came in shallow gasps as he fought to keep control, but he could feel the tendrils of the creature's influence curling around his mind, tightening their grip. A deep, rumbling voice echoed in the distance, vibrating through the air. It wasn't the whispers anymore. This was something deeper, more primal, a voice that carried the weight of the void itself. "You are ours." Now, Darren's pulse quickened as the ground trembled beneath him. From the shadows, tendrils of darkness emerged, slithering toward him. He turned to run, but his legs barely responded, heavy and stiff. The transformation had begun, and his time was running out. Then, a spark of memory ignited in his mind. The woman's voice, the one that had warned him in the clearing. She had known. She had tried to help. Was she still out there? Was there still a way out of this nightmare? Desperate, Darren pushed himself forward, stumbling toward the distant mountains. The ground cracked and heaved beneath him, but he kept moving, driven by a flicker of hope. If the woman had been real, if there was even the slightest chance of escaping, he had to try. The tendrils lashed out behind him, curling Dasumi through the air like hungry serpents. But Darren ran, his legs gaining strength as adrenaline surged through him. The obelisks crackled with energy, their light intensifying as the creature's presence grew closer. But Darren ignored them, his focus locked on the mountains ahead. And then, he heard it. The voice, not the creature's, but hers, faint, but clear. "Follow the light." He looked up, beyond the mountains. A faint glow pierced the swirling clouds. It wasn't the sickly green of the obelisks, but something purer, brighter. A beacon. Darren pushed harder, his lungs burning as he sprinted toward the light. The tendrils hissed and writhed, inches away now, but he didn't stop. His feet pounded against the broken ground, each step bringing him closer, each breath a battle against the thing clawing at his mind. Finally, he reached the base of the mountains. The light was stronger here, cutting through the oppressive darkness like a knife. Darren scrambled up the jagged rocks, his hands bloodied, his muscles screaming. But he didn't care. He had to reach the light. It was his only chance. The ground shook violently, the creature's roar filling the sky as its tendrils clawed at the mountainside. Darren pulled himself up the final ledge, his fingers grasping at the edge of a narrow plateau. And there, standing in the center of the light, was a figure. The woman. Her eyes met his, filled with both sorrow and determination. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. Before Darren could respond, the light around her flared, blindingly bright, and the tendrils recoiled, hissing in fury. The woman stepped forward, her voice soft but firm. "It's not too late, but you'll have to make a choice." Darren stared at her, breathless and broken. "What choice?" Her gaze darkened. She pointed to the light, now swirling like a portal. "You can leave this place, but you won't be the same. Or you can stay and fight. But either way, there's no going back." Darren looked at the portal, then back at her. The creature's roar echoed thick through the mountains, shaking the earth beneath his feet. Time was running out. Darren had to decide.